In 1867, the USA purchased Alaska from the Russian Empire for $7.2 million. The purchase included a number of islands, including the Pribilof Islands, which are in the Bering Sea. The Pribilof Islands were breeding grounds for fur seals, which back then were still hunted for their skins. It followed that the seals which were on the islands also became the property of the USA after the purchase. The terms of the purchase included the waters adjacent to the islands. But what exactly did this mean? The United States took it to mean all the waters between the Alaskan coast and the dividing line with Russia. Great Britain also had interests in the area through the Dominion of Canada. Clearly, the British could not hunt for fur seals on the actual American islands, but they did hunt fur seals in the water. In the British view, any fur seals which were beyond 3 miles from the Pribilof Islands were in open water and were available to be killed for their furs. Russia, the USA, and Great Britain tried to negotiate their differences, but ultimately the matter went to arbitration. During the arbitration, the arbitrators had to try to work out the content of international law and whether international law could be binding on sovereign nations. Remember, this was well before the development of some of the institutions of international law that occurred in the 20th century. During the arbitration, the Counsel for Great Britain made some important observations about international law, which were captured in a classic record called History and Digest by a man named John Moore. Moore records the British Council saying, "International law, properly so called, is only so much of the principles of morality and justice as the nations have agreed shall be part of those rules of conduct, which shall govern their relations with one another. There are many things which, according to some states of society, justice requires or morality requires, but which another state of society, which boasts of a proud civilization, declines to recognize." In other words, a constant challenge for international law is to determine what are the common rules between nations, but also how to accommodate the dissent of nations whose cultures disagree with those rules. In this case, Great Britain won the arbitration, but by 1911, the Pribilof Islands were a sanctuary for fur seals.